guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my July reading wrap up, okay? So, these are the statistics, okay? I read 10 books in July, okay? 9 of them were fantasy books, 1 was a literary fiction. The total amount of pages I read were 4,226 and my average rating was 3.4 stars, okay? So, let's talk about it, okay? In the month of May, let me tell you the highest number of books I've read in a month. It was of in the month of March. I read 26 books in March, and in July I'm reading 10. So 10 is a huge number, but we read when we get the time. So some people read fast, some people read slow. It does not mean you are not a reader if you read less number of books. So I just wanted to let you know that. So the first book I read in July was Silver Elite. I rated that book 5 stars because it was such a fun time. It is a dystopian book. This book has been getting a lot of traction lately. When the book was not published, people were loving it, and when the book was published, many people started hating it. So let me tell you what the book is about, okay? So the main character, Wren Darling, is a mod, and modified people are hunted in this world because there was a disease in this whole world, and due to the disease, mods were created, okay? They have like special powers like mind reading, controlling people, inciter and stuff like that, and the normal people are called the primes. So the primes have to kill the mods, a dystopian setting. And due to something that happened to her uncle, Vren is like in the eye of the primes. The primes don't know that Vren is a mod, that she's a mod in hiding, and so she gets enlisted to work into a special military block that fights like mods. And so she goes into the block, and she's like planning to take down the whole prime structure from the within and stuff like that. It is a really fun read. I read it in like 2 days. It was very fast paced. I really enjoyed the book. This book I rated 5 stars because of the vibes, nothing else. The writing was like okay, I liked the writing, but yeah, there were some scenes that I did not enjoy, but I loved the book regardless. So 5 stars for the vibes. Then the next book I read was Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I rated that book 3 stars because I did not understand the plot twist. It may be because I'm stupid, but I did not understand the plot twist. It kind of like bored me in the middle. It kind of was like okay. So the plot of this book is that the main female character, Bryn, I think her name is Bryn. She's one of the Alahas. The Alahas live in the water. They were like exiled from the land, and the people living in the land are the Kentas. So one day they go to the market. Every year there is like a market for food restock and stuff like that. So the Alahas go to the land to the market, and something happened, and a fight brews between the Alaha and the Kentas, and now someone comes to the Alaha land to take Bryn, and the story goes from there. It was like okay, the plot twist, I did not understand the plot twist. I don't remember much of this book. Emmy Rosen loves it. I did not. I wanted to love it, but I did not. So I'm like, it's like okay, reading is subjective, okay, So 3 stars for this book. Oh. Then the next book I read was Dance of Lies. This was the book on my July TBR. Yeah, July TBR, and let me tell you, I failed my July TBR spectacularly. There were like 7 books on my July TBR, and I only read 3 of them. I read Before the Coffee Gets Old, Dance of Lies, and Shield of Sparrows. I did not read Just Last Time, Kingdom of Copper, Redeeming 6, and 11/22/63. But we'll talk about that later, okay? Then I read Dance of Lies. I DNF'd that book because it was like very boring. I kind of guessed some things in the book. I don't even know what it is about. I feel like the main character, Vasily Morin, is a spy, is like a dancer, and she was like framed for a murder, murdering the king's like a person of high rank, and so the king framed her for the murder, and now the king enlists Basile's help to spy on his brothers and stuff like that. I don't know, I did not care. I DNF'd that book. I don't feel like I will ever read that book again. Um, so yeah, that is for Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena. Then the next book I read was Before the Coffee Gets Old. I rated that book 4 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was so heartwarming. I really enjoyed it. So the plot of this book is that it is on my July TPR. The plot of this book is that there is a cafe called Funiculi, something like that, and you have to sit in a specific seat and you have to have a coffee, and you can drink the coffee, and you can go into the past, or you can go to the future, and you can meet anyone you want and stuff like that. So there were like 4 different characters. There were like 4 sub-parts of the story, and every character went to the past or future to get to talk to a husband, a child, a mother, and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. It was so heartwarming. I'm definitely going to continue this series, okay? I loved this book. Then the next book I read was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. 5 stars. The magical writing of this book. I loved Stephanie Garber's writing. It was like magical, fairy tale-esque and stuff like that. Absolutely loved it. So the plot of this book is that the main female character, Evangeline Fox, goes to make a deal with a fate, the Prince of Hearts, Jax. And there is a rule: you don't make a deal with a fate because they are very like cunning and stuff like that. But Evangeline makes a deal with the fate that the fate will stop her like lover from marrying Evangeline's sister. So Evangeline's lover marries Evangeline's sister, and so the Prince of Hearts stops the lover from doing that, and the story goes from there. This is just the starting of the story, and it goes to such a different part. I hated Apollo. I feel like he got what he had for him. I loved Jax. I'm going to post a reading blog of this trilogy, so stay tuned for that. I loved this book. Then I read The Ballad of Never After. 5 stars. The ending, I loved this book. The ending had my jaw on the floor. Then I read A Curse for True Love. I rated that book 4 stars because it was not like as good as the first 2 books, and so I feel like 4 stars is perfect for that book. Jax and Evangeline are like fated for each other. Then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th book I read in this month was A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang. 5 stars for this book. It is so good. It is a Chinese retelling. So the main female character, I think Zishi, is like a very beautiful woman. Birds stop singing when she comes and stuff like that. So a military advisor of her kingdom, the Wu, I think that's the kingdom's name, I don't remember. But the military advisor of their kingdom, Fan Li, comes to enlist Zishi to kind of like seduce the king and to make the enemy kingdom fall from within and stuff like that. And this book's ending was so tragic. No, that's not a word. What is the word? I don't remember. But tragic. The ending of this book was like tragedy inducing. I read this book for the video where Jamie Fogg controls my reading week. So yeah, I loved the book. I loved Fan Li. I loved Anne Liang's writing style. It was everything I wanted and more. And I feel like we got to like a perfect circle moment at the last paragraph of the book. It was so beautiful. Her writing style is one of my favorites. I'm definitely going to be reading more Chinese fantasy retelling books from now on. So 5 stars, definitely recommend. This book is like 350 pages and it is a standalone, so definitely recommend. Then the next book I read was Shark Heart by Emily Hebeck. I decided to DNF that book because I read this book after I read A Song to Drown Rivers, and I was in the mood for A Song to Drown Rivers. So this book, why is the camera, okay, whatever. but this book did not have my full intrigue, so I decided to DNF it. So the plot of this book is that the males in this world are like converted into fishes and birds and stuff like that. So the main male character gets converted into a white shark, and there he is like a newly married person. So it is their story about, it is the story of the man and his wife, how they like go through this transformation and stuff like that. So that is Shark Heart. Decided to soft DNF this book because I know I will really love the book in the future. So that's for Shark Heart. Then the last book I read in this month was A Shield of Sparrows by Devony Perry. I decided to rate that book 3 stars because, so let me first tell you the plot of the book. There is like a treaty called A Shield of Sparrows, where like every kingdom has to give one of their daughters to the other kingdom to marry. So there is like peace in between them and stuff like that. So what is the kingdom's name? I can't remember any kingdom's name. Why? I don't know why. But whatever, let me see. So the main female character's name is Adisa, and she has to be married to another kingdom's prince. Her sister May was originally supposed to marry the prince, but the prince realized that her sister was actually a spy in disguise, and she wanted to, her father wanted to infiltrate the prince's kingdom. So he decided that Odisha will marry the prince, and the story goes from there. And the Odisha's father trains her to become a spy and stuff like that, and the story goes from there. I enjoyed the book. There were some very, very, very crude scenes in this book which I hated. The way they talked about the female character, I just did not like it at all. I'm a feminist all the way through, so I did not like how they talked about it, but I feel like it kind of got wrapped up soon. Liked it, definitely not my favorite. 3 stars. I will be reading the sequel to this book because it ended on a cliffhanger. I really enjoyed the setting of this book because they were like traveling all the time, and yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Yeah, that's all for today's video. Comment all the books you read in July and which was your favorite book. I did not completely finish my July TBR because I'm a mood reader through and through, so I don't want to force myself to read books that I know I'm not in the mood for. So, that's all for today's video. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what are your thoughts on them. Comment the shield emoji for Shield of Sparrows. And yeah, that's all for today's video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I love you all.